When a billionaire throws his 8 months pregnant wife into a Category 4 hurricane, he thinks he's erasing a traitor. What he's actually doing is creating his worst enemy. Roman Vale had everything: power, money, an empire that made grown men sweat. Then one forged document convinced him to destroy the only person who ever loved him. He locked Serena outside during the storm of the century while his mistress warmed his bed. He thought she died screaming his name in the mud. She didn't die. She evolved. If you want to see a betrayed woman become absolutely untouchable, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop your city in the comments so I can see how far Serena's story reaches. The windows were shaking. Serena Vale stood in the master bedroom of the clifftop mansion, one hand pressed against the glass, the other resting on the swell of her belly where their son kicked and rolled like he knew something was wrong. Outside, the Atlantic Ocean had turned black and furious, waves the size of buildings slamming into the rocks 200 feet below. The hurricane warnings had been screaming all day. Category 4, evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. But Roman had told her they were staying. We're Vales, he'd said that morning, barely looking up from his phone. We don't run from weather. Now he wasn't even home. Serena checked her phone again. No messages, no missed calls. Just the emergency alert flashing across the screen. Take shelter now. Storm surge imminent. She tried his number one more time. It went straight to voicemail.
Roman, it's me again. Her voice cracked despite her best effort to sound calm. The power's flickering and I can hear things hitting the house. I know you said to stay, but I'm getting scared. The baby's been moving a lot and please call me back. She hung up and wrapped both arms around herself, trying to ignore the way the chandelier above the bed was swaying like a pendulum. The mansion had survived hurricanes before.
Roman always said it was built like a fortress, engineered to withstand anything nature could throw at it. But Serena had never been alone in it during a storm like this, and she'd never been 8 months pregnant. A gust of wind hit the house so hard the entire structure groaned. Serena stumbled backward, her heart hammering, and that's when she heard it. The sound of the front door slamming open downstairs. Relief flooded through her so fast it made her dizzy. Roman! She moved as quickly as her body would allow, one hand on the banister, the other supporting her belly as she made her way down the curved staircase. The lights flickered. Thunder cracked so loud it felt like the sky was splitting open. Roman, thank God you're... She stopped halfway down the stairs. Roman was standing in the foyer, soaked through, his dark hair plastered to his forehead, water dripping onto the marble floor. But he wasn't alone. Vanessa Crowe stood beside him. Serena's breath caught. Vanessa worked for Roman, or at least that's what Serena had been told. Executive assistant, right hand, the woman who handled the things Roman didn't have time for. She was beautiful in that sharp, calculated way, all sleek black hair and red lipstick, the kind of woman who wore designer heels in a hurricane and somehow made it look intentional. What's going on? Serena's voice came out smaller than she wanted. Why is she here? Roman didn't answer. He was staring at her with an expression she'd never seen before, cold, hard, empty. Like he was looking at a stranger. Like he was looking at an enemy. Roman? Tell me something, Serena. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the storm noise like a blade. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Serena's stomach dropped. Find out what? Vanessa stepped forward, pulling a manila envelope from her bag. She didn't say anything, just held it out like an offering. Roman took it without looking away from Serena. I trusted you. He opened the envelope and pulled out a stack of papers. I gave you everything. This house, my name, access to my entire life. And you sold me out. What are you talking about? Serena's legs felt weak. She gripped the banister tighter. Roman, I don't understand. These are bank transfers, Serena. Offshore accounts. Encrypted emails. He threw the papers at her feet. They scattered across the stairs, some of them sliding down to the foyer. You've been feeding information to my competitors for 6 months. Names, contracts, trade secrets. Everything I've built, you've been handing over piece by piece. The room tilted. That's insane, Serena's voice broke. I don't even know what half your business deals are. Roman, please, you have to believe me. I have the evidence right here. Then it's fake. Someone's setting me up. Stop lying to me! Roman's voice exploded through the foyer, louder than the thunder. I have your signature on the account, your email address, on the messages, your fingerprints all over the betrayal. Serena felt tears burning her eyes. I didn't do this. I swear on our son's life, I didn't. Don't. Roman's face twisted. Don't you dare use him. Not after what you've done. What I've done? Serena's voice climbed, desperation clawing at her throat. Roman, I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child. Why would I destroy the father of my baby? I don't know, Serena. You tell me. He took a step toward her. Maybe you never loved me. Maybe this was always the plan. Maybe you're just that good at pretending. No. Serena shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. No, no, no. This is wrong. Roman, please. I want you out. The words hit her like a physical blow. What? Out of my house, out of my life. Roman's jaw was set, his eyes empty. I don't care where you go. I don't care what happens to you. You're done. Roman, it's a Category 4 hurricane. Serena's voice cracked into something raw and animal. You can't. The evacuation window closed hours ago. There's nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before you stabbed me in the back. Serena's legs nearly gave out. She sank down onto the step behind her, both hands pressed against her belly, where the baby was kicking hard now, like he could feel her panic. Please. The word came out broken. Please, Roman, I'm begging you. I didn't do this. I love you. I've only ever loved you. Just let me stay until the storm passes. Please. For the baby. For our son. Something flickered across Roman's face, something that might have been doubt, or pain, or the ghost of the man she'd married. Then Vanessa touched his arm. It was barely anything, just her hand on his sleeve, her fingers curling against the wet fabric. But it was enough. Roman's expression went cold again. Get up. Roman? Get up. Serena tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. Roman closed the distance between them in 3 long strides, grabbed her arm, and hauled her to her feet. She cried out, from shock, from fear, from the sharp pain in her side as the baby kicked against her ribs. Let go of me. You want it out? Roman dragged her down the stairs, his grip iron tight around her wrist. I'll help you out. Stop. Please, you're hurting me. He didn't stop. He pulled her across the foyer, through the hallway, toward the back of the house, where the glass doors led to the terrace. The doors that overlooked the cliff. The doors that faced the full force of the Atlantic in the middle of a Category 4. Roman, no! Serena twisted in his grip, trying to pull free, but he was too strong, and she was too pregnant, and her body wasn't built for fighting anymore. Please, think about what you're doing. He shoved the glass door open. The wind exploded into the house like a living thing, screaming, clawing, ripping at everything in its path. Rain slashed sideways. The ocean roared below, invisible in the darkness, nothing but sound and fury. Roman, please! Serena's voice was lost in the storm. I'm carrying your son, our son. Please don't do this. For one heartbeat, Roman hesitated. Serena saw it in his eyes. The flicker of something human, something that remembered who she was, who they'd been, the promises they'd made. Then Vanessa appeared in the doorway behind them, her silhouette backlit by the flickering chandelier, and whatever humanity had been left in Roman's face disappeared. He let go of Serena's wrist, and he pushed. Serena stumbled backward onto the terrace, her wet shoes sliding on the slick stone. She caught herself against the railing, gasping, her hair whipping across her face. Roman! She reached for him, her hand outstretched, pleading, Don't leave me out here, please! I'll die out here! The baby will die! You made your choice, Serena. He stepped back inside. Roman, no! No! The glass door slid shut. Serena threw herself against it, pounding on the glass with both fists. She could see him through the rain-streaked surface. Her husband, the father of her child, the man she'd loved for 5 years, standing there with Vanessa beside him, watching her like she was nothing. Please, I'm begging you, let me in, Roman! He turned away. Vanessa smiled. And then they were gone, disappearing into the depths of the mansion, leaving Serena alone on the terrace, while the hurricane tore the world apart. She screamed until her throat bled. She pounded on the glass until her hands went numb. She begged and cried and promised anything, everything, if he would just open the door. But Roman didn't come back. The rain soaked through her clothes in seconds, plastering the thin fabric to her skin, the cold cutting through her like knives. The wind shoved her against the railing, then tried to pull her over it. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the churning blackness of the ocean below. Serena's legs gave out. She collapsed onto the terrace, her back against the glass door, arms wrapped around her belly, trying to shield the baby from the storm. Her teeth chattered, her whole body shook. She couldn't feel her fingers anymore. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the life inside her. "I'm so sorry, baby. Mommy's going to fix this. I promise. I'm going to—" Pain exploded through her abdomen. Serena gasped, doubling over, one hand pressed against her belly as the contraction seized her entire body. It felt like being torn in half from the inside out. "No." She shook her head, tears mixing with rain. "No, no, no. Not now. Please, not now." The contraction released. Serena sucked in air, her lungs burning, and tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't hold her. She crawled toward the edge of the terrace instead, away from the door that wouldn't open, toward the stairs that led down to the grounds. Another contraction hit before she made it 3 feet. This one was worse, longer, stronger, the kind that meant her body wasn't asking permission anymore. It was taking control whether she was ready or not. "Help!" The word came out as barely a whisper. "Somebody help me." Nobody came. Serena dragged herself down the terrace stairs on her hands and knees, each step an agony, her dress catching on the stone, tearing, leaving pieces of fabric behind like breadcrumbs in a nightmare. The rain was so heavy she couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The wind screamed. The ocean roared. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she couldn't stay. At the bottom of the stairs, Serena collapsed into the mud. Her vision swam. Her body shook so hard her bones rattled. The contractions were coming faster now, relentless, each one stealing more of her strength. She thought about her son. She thought about the nursery she'd spent months decorating, the tiny clothes folded in the dresser, the mobile that played lullabies above the crib. She thought about Roman's hand on her belly that night 2 months ago, when the baby kicked for the first time, the way his whole face had softened, the way he'd whispered, "That's my boy." She thought about how that man didn't exist anymore, or maybe he never had. Serena pressed her forehead against the mud and sobbed. She didn't know how long she lay there, minutes, hours, eternities. Time stopped meaning anything. There was only the storm and the pain and the cold and the certainty that this was how she died. Then headlights cut through the darkness. Serena lifted her head, squinting against the rain, as a black SUV skidded to a stop 30 feet away. The driver's door flew open and a man jumped out, tall, broad-shouldered, his face hidden by the hood of his rain jacket. Jesus Christ! He ran toward her, dropping to his knees in the mud beside her. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Serena tried to speak, but another contraction tore through her, and all that came out was a scream. The man's hands moved over her, quick and efficient, checking for injuries. Okay, I've got you. How far along are you?" 8 months. How long have you been in labor?" "I don't—" Serena's voice broke. Please help me. My husband, he locked me out. The baby's coming. I know, I can see that." The man slipped his arms under her and lifted her like she weighed nothing. "I'm going to get you to a hospital. Just hold on." "Can't. Evacuations. Roads are flooded." "I know a place." He carried her toward the SUV, moving fast despite the mud and the wind. "Private clinic. 20 minutes from here. You're going to make it, both of you." Serena wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe anything other than the truth, which was that she was dying in the arms of a stranger while her husband celebrated with his mistress inside the mansion that used to be her home. The man put her in the back seat and slammed the door. The sudden absence of wind and rain felt surreal, like stepping into another dimension. Serena curled onto her side, her whole body shaking as the driver climbed behind the wheel and threw the SUV into gear. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice steady, calm, like they weren't driving through the apocalypse. "Serena." It came out as a whisper. "Serena Vale." There was a pause. Then, "Marcus Kane, and I'm going to make sure you and your son survive this night."
The SUV plowed through the storm, windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the rain. Serena gripped the edge of the seat as another contraction seized her, this one so powerful she couldn't breathe through it. "Talk to me, Serena." Marcus's voice cut through the pain. "Stay with me. Tell me about the baby." "His name," Serena gasped. "Noah. His name is Noah." "Noah Vale, that's a strong name. He kicks all the time like he's already trying to fight." "He's his mother's son, then." Marcus took a corner too fast and the SUV fishtailed before finding traction again. "Hold on. We're almost there." Serena closed her eyes and focused on breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The way the birthing class instructor had taught her back when she thought she'd be delivering in a clean hospital with Roman holding her hand and soft music playing and everything perfect. That fantasy felt like it belonged to someone else's life. The SUV screeched to a stop. Marcus was out and opening her door before Serena even registered they'd arrived. She caught a glimpse of a small building, lights blazing in the windows, a sign that read Harmon Medical Center, private practice. "I've got you!" Marcus lifted her again, kicking the door shut behind him, and ran toward the entrance. The doors burst open before they reached them. A woman in scrubs appeared, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, her expression shifting from surprise to professional focus in half a second. "Exam room 2, now." Marcus didn't argue. He followed the woman, Doctor Harmon, Serena's pain-fogged brain supplied, through the small clinic to a room that smelled like antiseptic and had 2 bright lights and a bed with stirrups that made Serena want to cry. "Put her here." Dr. Harmon was already snapping on gloves. "How far apart are the contractions?" "Less than 2 minutes," Marcus said, settling Serena onto the bed as gently as he could. "How long has she been in labor?" "I don't know. I found her outside in the storm." Dr. Harmon's eyes cut to Serena. "Who's your OB?" "Dr. Morrison, West Coast Medical." "That's 40 miles from here and underwater by now." Dr. Harmon positioned the stirrups and started examining Serena with quick, practiced movements. "How far along?" 32 weeks. Serena's voice cracked. "He's too early. He's not ready." "Babies are tougher than you think." Dr. Harmon's face was calm, unreadable. "You're fully dilated. This baby's coming whether he's ready or not. Have you been pushing?" "No, Good. Don't start yet." Dr. Harmon looked up at Marcus. "I need you to get towels from the supply closet, end of the hall, and grab the infant warmer from the storage room. Move." Marcus moved. Dr. Harmon turned back to Serena, her expression softening just slightly. "Listen to me. I've delivered over 3,000 babies in my career, some of them in worse conditions than this. You're going to get through this, but I need you to focus. Can you do that?" Serena nodded, even though she wasn't sure it was true. "Good. Now breathe with me." Another contraction hit. Serena screamed, "Don't push yet." Dr. Harmon's voice was firm. "Breathe through it, in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's it. You're doing great." The contraction released and Serena collapsed back against the bed, her whole body trembling. She could hear Marcus's footsteps in the hallway, hear him coming back with supplies, hear Dr. Harmon giving orders in that calm, steady voice. But mostly she heard Roman's voice in her head. "You made your choice, Serena." Another contraction. Stronger this time. "Okay." Dr. Harmon positioned herself between Serena's legs. "Next one. I need you to push. Give me everything you've got." Serena shook her head. "I can't." "You can." "I can't do this alone." "You're not alone." Marcus appeared beside the bed, his rain jacket gone, his dark hair still dripping. He took Serena's hand and squeezed. "I'm right here." Serena looked up at this stranger who'd saved her life and felt something crack open in her chest. The contraction hit. "Push," Dr. Harmon commanded. Serena pushed. She pushed through the pain and the fear and the betrayal. She pushed through the memory of Roman's cold eyes and Vanessa's smile. She pushed through the glass door that wouldn't open and the storm that tried to kill her. She pushed until her vision went white and her body screamed and she was sure she was going to die. "Again," Dr. Harmon's voice. "One more. You're almost there." Serena pushed again, and then she heard it. A cry. Small and angry and absolutely impossibly alive. "It's a boy."
Dr. Harmon's voice was soft now, wonder bleeding through the professionalism. A beautiful, healthy boy. Serena collapsed back against the bed, sobbing, as Dr. Harmon worked quickly, cutting the cord, wrapping the baby in warm towels, doing all the things that needed to be done. Marcus squeezed her hand, his thumb rubbing circles against her palm. "You did it," he said quietly. "You saved him." Then Dr. Harmon was there, placing a tiny, squirming bundle against Serena's chest. "Here's your son." Serena looked down at Noah's face, red and wrinkled and perfect, and felt her entire world reorganize itself around this single, fragile life. "Hi, baby," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Hi, Noah. I'm your mama. I've got you. Nobody's ever going to hurt you. I promise." Noah's eyes opened, dark and unfocused, and he looked at her like he knew exactly who she was. Serena kissed his forehead and let herself cry. She cried for the marriage that died tonight. She cried for the man she thought she knew. She cried for the home she'd never see again. And then she stopped crying, because Noah was depending on her now. And Serena Vale didn't break. She evolved. Dr. Harmon finished her work in silence, cleaning Serena up, checking Noah's vitals, making sure both of them were stable. Marcus stayed by the bed the entire time, a silent presence that somehow made everything feel less impossible. Finally, Dr. Harmon stepped back. "You're both healthy. Considering what you've been through, that's a miracle." "Thank you." Serena's voice was hoarse. "I don't know how to—" "Don't!" Dr. Harmon held up a hand. "I've been a doctor for 40 years. I know what found in a storm means. I know what it looks like when someone's been thrown away." Her eyes were hard. "You don't owe me thanks. You owe yourself survival." Serena held Noah closer. "Marcus filled me in on the basics while you were in labor." Dr. Harmon pulled up a chair and sat down, her expression serious. "Your husband is Roman Vale." It wasn't a question. "Yes, the Roman Vale. Billionaire, empire builder, man who owns half the eastern seaboard." "That's him." Dr. Harmon nodded slowly. "Then you need to understand something. If you go back to him, if you try to claim your rights as his wife, fight for your marriage, any of that, he will destroy you. Men like Roman Vale don't admit mistakes. They bury them." Serena looked down at Noah, sleeping peacefully against her chest despite the storm still raging outside. "I'm not going back." "Good." Dr. Harmon leaned forward. "Because Marcus and I are going to help you disappear." Serena's eyes snapped up. "What?" "You can't go home. You can't go to friends or family. He'll look there first. You need to vanish completely." Dr. Harmon's voice was steady, certain. "I have a house, remote, off the grid. You can stay there as long as you need. No one will find you." "Why would you do this for me?" Dr. Harmon's expression darkened. "Because 30 years ago, I had a patient like you, young, pregnant, thrown out by a powerful man who thought she was disposable." She paused. "I told her to go to the police, to fight back, to claim her rights." "What happened?" "She disappeared. Her body was never found." Dr. Harmon's jaw tightened. "I won't make that mistake again." Serena felt cold all over. "You think Roman would—" "I think powerful men are capable of anything when their reputation is on the line." Dr. Harmon stood. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to rest tonight. Tomorrow Marcus is going to drive you to the house. You're going to heal, and then you're going to decide what kind of life you want to build." "I don't have anything," Serena's voice cracked. "No money, no ID, no way to—" "You have Noah." Marcus spoke for the first time since the delivery. "That's more than nothing." Serena looked at him, really looked at him. He was probably in his mid-30s with dark eyes and a scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the kind of face that had seen violence and survived it. "Why are you helping me?" Marcus's expression didn't change. "Because I know what it's like to be thrown away by someone who was supposed to protect you." He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. "Get some rest," Dr. Harmon said, heading for the door. "Morning's going to come whether you're ready or not." She left. Marcus lingered for a moment longer. "If you need anything—" "Wait." Serena's voice stopped him. "What you said in the car, about making sure Noah and I survive, did you mean it?" Marcus met her eyes. Every word. Then I need you to teach me something. What's that? Serena looked down at her son, then back up at the stranger who'd saved them both. How to make sure Roman Vale regrets the day he threw me away. Something flickered across Marcus's face. Approval, maybe, or recognition. That, he said quietly, I can definitely do. He left. Serena was alone with Noah in the too-bright room while the hurricane screamed outside and the world she'd known burned to ash. She should have felt afraid. She should have felt broken. Instead, she felt something else entirely. Clear, focused, hungry. Roman had tried to erase her. Vanessa had smiled while it happened. They thought she was dead or dying or destroyed beyond repair. They were wrong. Serena kissed Noah's forehead and made a promise that would reshape everything. Your father thinks he won tonight, baby. He thinks he's untouchable. He thinks consequences are for other people. Noah stirred in her arms, his tiny fist curling against her chest. We're going to teach him different. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside, Serena Vale began planning her resurrection. The safe house was nothing like the mansion. It sat 40 miles inland, tucked between dense pine forest and a lake so still it looked like glass. The structure itself was small, maybe 1,500 square feet, with weathered wood siding and a porch that sagged slightly on one side. But it had running water, electricity from solar panels, and most importantly, it didn't appear on any map that mattered. Marcus pulled the SUV up to the front door 3 days after the hurricane passed. Serena sat in the passenger seat with Noah strapped to her chest in a carrier Dr. Harmon had provided, along with everything else they'd needed: diapers, formula, clothes that actually fit, medical supplies. The doctor had thought of everything. Home sweet home, Marcus said, cutting the engine. Serena looked at the cabin and felt nothing. No relief, no gratitude. Just the hollow ache of someone who'd lost everything and was still trying to figure out what came next. It's not much, Marcus continued, but it's off-grid. No paper trail. The property's in a trust that can't be traced back to Dr. Harmon or me. As far as the world's concerned, this place doesn't exist. Perfect. Serena's voice came out flat. Marcus glanced at her. You doing okay? I'm alive. Noah's alive. That's what okay looks like now. He didn't argue. They went inside. The cabin smelled like pine and dust and old wood. The furniture was basic, a couch that had seen better decades, a kitchen table with mismatched chairs, a wood-burning stove in the corner. There were 2 bedrooms, one barely big enough for a double bed, the other set up as storage. I'll get the storage room cleared out for Noah, Marcus said, already moving boxes. Should take me an hour. Serena sank onto the couch, exhausting crashing over her in waves. Noah was asleep against her chest, his tiny body warm and trusting. She closed her eyes and saw Roman's face when he pushed her into the storm. Her phone buzzed. She'd turned it off the night of the hurricane and hadn't looked at it since. Now sitting in this cabin that didn't exist, she powered it on. 47 missed calls, 63 text messages, all from the same number. Roman. Serena's hand shook as she opened the messages. Where are you? Serena, answer your phone. The storm's over. If you're trying to make a point, you've made it. I'm calling the police. They're saying you're missing. Is this some kind of game? Call me back immediately. Then 12 hours later, I'm filing a missing persons report. Whatever you're doing, it needs to stop. Serena scrolled through the rest. The tone shifted from demanding to concerned to something that almost looked like panic. The last message had come through 6 hours ago. Serena, please. If you're alive, just send me a sign. Anything. I need to know you're okay. She stared at the screen until the words blurred. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Found a crib in the storage room. Little dusty, but it'll work once I clean it up. Serena held up her phone. He's looking for me. Of course he is. You're his wife. You disappeared during a Category 4. Marcus leaned against the doorframe. What matters is whether he's looking because he's worried or because you're a loose end. What's the difference? Worried means guilt. Loose end means damage control. Marcus crossed his arms. My money's on the second one. Serena thought about Vanessa standing in the foyer, smiling as Roman closed the door. Yeah, mine too. So what do you want to do? I don't know. Serena looked down at Noah.
Part of me wants to call him back, tell him I'm alive, that his son is alive, make him see what he almost destroyed. And the other part wants to watch him suffer. Marcus didn't look surprised. Both are valid, but only one keeps you safe. Serena knew he was right. If she contacted Roman now, if she told him where she was, what had happened, how she'd nearly died giving birth in the mud, he wouldn't apologize. He wouldn't fall to his knees and beg forgiveness. He'd spin it. He'd make it her fault somehow. Say she ran away to manipulate him. Say she staged the whole thing for sympathy. Say she was unstable, dangerous, unfit, and Vanessa would back him up. The evidence would back him up. By the time Roman was done, Serena would be the villain in her own story. I need to stay dead, she said quietly. For now, Marcus agreed, until you're strong enough to come back on your own terms. Serena looked up at him. Why are you doing this? Really? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, you ever heard of Marcus Kane Security? No. Good. That means I'm doing my job right. He moved into the room and sat down in the chair across from her. I run a private firm. We handle security for people who can't go to the police. Witness protection without the government red tape. Relocation. New identities. Clean exits. You help people disappear. I help people survive. Marcus's expression was hard. 10 years ago, I was military, special operations. The kind of work where you don't ask questions, you just follow orders. One of those orders got my entire team killed because someone higher up needed a scapegoat. Serena's breath caught. I survived because I was good at staying alive. But the military didn't want survivors. They wanted the story buried. So they tried to bury me with it. Marcus's jaw tightened. I disappeared instead, built a new life. And now I help other people do the same thing when the system fails them. Is that what I am? A failed system? You're a woman who got thrown away by a man with enough power to rewrite reality. Marcus met her eyes. Yeah, that's a failed system. Noah stirred against Serena's chest, making a small sound of protest before settling back to sleep. How much is this going to cost? Serena asked. The safe house, the help, all of it. I don't have any money. I don't have anything. Dr. Harmon and I have an arrangement. She sends me people who need to disappear. I make it happen, no charge. That doesn't make sense. You're running a business. I'm running a mission. Marcus stood. Money comes from the clients who can afford to pay. People like you. People who actually need help. That's why I do this work in the first place. Serena felt something crack in her chest. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Disappearing is the easy part. Staying disappeared while you figure out what comes next. That's where it gets hard. He went back to setting up Noah's room. Serena sat alone on the couch, scrolling through Roman's messages one more time. She stopped on the last one. Serena, please, if you're alive, just send me a sign. Anything. I need to know you're okay. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard. She could send one word, alive. That's all it would take. Instead, she powered the phone off and removed the SIM card. Then she snapped it in half and dropped both pieces in the trash. Roman didn't get to know she was okay. He didn't get to know anything. The first 2 weeks were survival. Serena slept when Noah slept, which meant she barely slept at all. She learned to change diapers one-handed while holding a bottle. She learned which cries meant hungry and which meant tired and which meant something's wrong and I need you now. She learned that her body didn't belong to her anymore. It belonged to this tiny, demanding creature who needed her for everything. Marcus showed up every few days with supplies, food, diapers, books about infant care that Serena read cover to cover at 3 a.m. while Noah screamed in her arms. Doctor. Harmon came once a week to check on them both. She never asked about Roman. She never asked what Serena was planning. She just made sure mother and baby were healthy and left medical supplies in case of emergencies. By week 3, Serena's body had mostly healed. Her mind was a different story. She couldn't stop thinking about the mansion, about the life she'd had, about the fact that somewhere out there, Roman was living his life while she hid in a cabin that didn't exist. It made her want to scream. Instead, she started researching. Marcus had brought her a laptop, used, untraceable, routed through VPNs and encrypted networks that made her digital footprint invisible. Serena used it to search for news about herself. What she found made her stomach turn. Serena Vale missing.
After hurricane. Husband pleads for information. The article included a photo of Roman at a press conference, his face drawn, his eyes red like he'd been crying. Vanessa stood behind him, her hand on his shoulder in a gesture of support that made Serena want to put her fist through the screen. "My wife disappeared the night of the hurricane," Roman said in the video clip. "We had an argument, something stupid, insignificant, and she left the house before I could stop her. I've been searching for her ever since. If anyone has information, please—" His voice broke. "Please help me bring her home." Serena watched the video 3 times. Roman was good. She'd forgotten how good he was at performing. The catch in his voice, the way his hands shook slightly when he held up her photo. The devastated husband routine was flawless. No one watching would ever guess he'd thrown her into the storm himself. The comments section was exactly what she expected. "Poor man. I hope they find her. She probably ran off with another guy." Women who abandon their families during disasters are the worst. He deserves better than someone who'd leave during a hurricane. Serena closed the laptop before she broke something. "Rough day?" Marcus appeared in the doorway with a bag of groceries. "He's telling everyone I ran away." Serena's voice was tight. "He's making himself the victim." "Of course he is. That's how men like Roman survive. They control the narrative." Marcus started unpacking food into the small fridge. "What matters is what you do about it." "What can I do? I'm dead. Officially missing. No one even knows I gave birth." "Good. That gives you an advantage, Shay." "How?" Marcus turned to face her. "Roman thinks you're either dead or hiding somewhere, broken and afraid. He thinks he won. That makes him sloppy." Serena thought about that. "You think he'll make mistakes?" "I think he already is." "Vanessa moved into the mansion, didn't she?" "How did you—" "I've been monitoring the situation." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. Vanessa, standing on the terrace where Serena had nearly died, wearing one of Serena's dresses. The rage that flooded through Serena was so sudden and complete it took her breath away. "She's wearing my clothes." "She's living your life," Marcus said quietly, "which means Roman's already moved on. Publicly, he's the grieving husband. Privately, he's replaced you with the woman who helped him destroy me." "Exactly." Marcus pocketed his phone. "That's going to be a problem for him eventually, but only if you're alive to make it one." Serena looked down at Noah, sleeping in the portable crib Marcus had set up in the living room. Her son. Her reason for surviving. The child Roman didn't even know existed. "I want to hurt him," she said quietly. "Is that wrong?" "It's human." Marcus sat down across from her. "The question is what kind of hurt you're looking for. Revenge? Justice? Destruction? I don't know yet." "Then you're not ready." Marcus leaned forward. "When you know exactly what you want, when you can see it clearly enough to name it, that's when we start planning. And until then, you heal, you learn, you get strong." Marcus's expression was serious. "Because if you go after Roman Vale half ready, he'll destroy you for real this time. And Noah will grow up without a mother." The words hit like cold water. Serena looked at her son and felt the rage crystallize into something sharper, cleaner. She didn't just want to hurt Roman. She wanted to dismantle him, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the ruins of the empire he'd valued more than her life. But Marcus was right. She needed to be ready first. "Teach me," Serena said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Teach you what?" "Everything. How to disappear, how to build a new identity, how to move through the world without leaving traces." She met his eyes. "How to become someone Roman would never recognize." Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled, a sharp, dangerous expression that looked like approval. "All right, but we do this my way. No shortcuts, no half measures. You commit completely or not at all." "I'm committed." "We'll see." Marcus stood. "Get some rest. We start tomorrow." The training was brutal. Marcus didn't coddle her. He didn't make allowances for the fact that she'd given birth less than a month ago. He treated her like someone who needed to become dangerous and fast. Every morning at 6, he showed up and ran her through exercises. Not traditional workouts, practical skills. How to move through a crowd without being noticed. how to change her appearance with makeup and clothes, how to spot surveillance, how to lie convincingly. People remember faces, Marcus said one morning, watching Serena apply theatrical makeup that made her look 10 years older. But they remember behavior more. Change how you move, how you speak, how you hold yourself. And you can walk past someone who knows you, and they won't see you. Serena practiced until she could transform herself in under 5 minutes. Marcus taught her about digital security, how to use encrypted communications, how to scrub metadata from photos, how to research someone without leaving a trail. Roman's empire runs on information, Marcus explained, showing her how to navigate corporate databases. Contracts, investments, partnerships, all of it's documented somewhere. You want to hurt him? Learn his business better than he knows it himself. So Serena learned. She spent Noah's nap time studying Roman's corporate structure. Vale Industries had fingers in everything: real estate, tech, finance, shipping. The empire was massive, complex, and from what Serena could tell, built on a foundation of aggressive acquisitions and hostile takeovers. Roman didn't build things, he took them. The realization made her sick. "Find anything interesting?" Marcus asked one afternoon, looking over her shoulder at the laptop screen. He's in the middle of 3 major deals right now: a tech merger in Silicon Valley, a real estate development in Manhattan, and something in shipping that involves international contracts. Serena scrolled through the documents she'd pulled from public filings. All of them are high risk, high reward. If even one falls through, it could destabilize the whole company. Marcus whistled. Roman's overextended. He's arrogant. He thinks he's untouchable. Serena pulled up another file. Look at this. He's using the same legal team for all 3 deals. Same financial advisors. Same inner circle. Single point of failure, Marcus said. If someone got to that inner circle, the whole thing collapses. Serena felt her pulse quicken. We need to know who these people are, what they want, what they're afraid of. That's going to take time. I have time. Marcus looked at her with something like respect. You're not the woman who showed up here a month ago. No, Serena agreed. I'm not. Noah started crying from the bedroom. Serena closed the laptop and went to him, lifting him from the crib and holding him against her chest. He was getting bigger already, his face filling out, his eyes focusing better, his grip stronger when he wrapped his tiny fist around her finger. Hey, baby, she murmured, rocking him gently. Mama's here. Noah stopped crying and looked up at her with Roman's eyes. The resemblance was unmistakable. The same dark brown, the same intense focus. Serena wondered if Roman would see it if he ever met his son. Then she decided he didn't deserve to find out. By month 2, Serena had a routine. She woke with Noah, fed him, changed him, played with him until he went down for his morning nap. Then she worked, studying Roman's business, building dossiers on his key employees, learning everything she could about the empire he'd chosen over her. Marcus brought her books on corporate strategy, hostile takeovers, financial manipulation. Doctor. Harman brought her books on psychology, manipulation, reading people. Serena absorbed it all. In the afternoons, she practiced. Makeup, disguise, movement, voice modulation. Everything Marcus taught her about becoming invisible. In the evenings, she was just a mother. She sang to Noah, read him stories even though he was too young to understand, held him and promised him things would be better. At night, after Noah was asleep, Serena planned. She started small. Anonymous tips to journalists about Vale Industries' questionable business practices. Leaked documents that raised questions about the legality of Roman's latest acquisitions. Nothing traceable, nothing obvious, just seeds of doubt. You're playing a long game, Marcus observed one night, watching her send an encrypted email to a business reporter. Most people want immediate revenge. Immediate revenge gets you caught. Serena hit send. I want Roman to lose everything slowly. I want him to watch his empire crack and not understand why. And then? Then I want him to know it was me. Marcus nodded. Good. Anger's useful, but controlled anger is a weapon. 3 months after the hurricane, Serena finally saw the first results of her work. The tech merger fell through. It made national news. Vale Industries' Silicon Valley deal collapses amid regulatory concerns. The article cited leaked documents suggesting Vale had failed to disclose conflicts of interest during the negotiation process. Serena had leaked those documents. She watched the news coverage with Noah in her lap, feeling something cold and satisfied settle in her chest. Roman appeared on camera outside his Manhattan office, surrounded by reporters. "This is a minor setback," he said smoothly. "Vale Industries is built on a foundation strong enough to weather any challenge." But Serena could see the tension in his jaw, the flash of anger in his eyes when someone asked if the failure was connected to his missing wife. "My personal life has nothing to do with business," Roman snapped. Then he collected himself. "Serena's disappearance is a tragedy, but I'm focused on finding her, not on failed deals." Vanessa appeared beside him, her hand slipping into his. The cameras went crazy. Serena turned off the TV before she threw something at it. "He just confirmed their relationship publicly," Marcus said from the doorway. 3 months after you disappeared. He's not even pretending anymore. Which means he stopped looking for you, stopped worrying. He thinks he got away with it." Marcus came into the room. "That's good for us." "How is any of this good?" "Because now we know what he values. His reputation, his empire." "Vanessa." Marcus sat down. "Those are his pressure points. That's where we push." Serena looked down at Noah, who was chewing on his fist and drooling. "I need more than anonymous leaks. I need to actually hurt him." "Then you need to come out of hiding." The words hung in the air. "Not as yourself," Marcus continued, "not yet, but as someone else, someone who can get close to Roman's business, close to his people, close enough to do real damage. A new identity, complete with background, credentials, everything you need to move in Roman circles without him recognizing you." Marcus pulled out a folder. "I've been working on options." Serena opened it. Inside were 3 complete identities: driver's licenses, social security cards, employment histories, even social media profiles going back years. "How did you—" "I'm very good at my job." Marcus pointed to the first identity. "Elena Russo, art consultant from Milan, connections in European high society, perfect for infiltrating Roman social circles." "I don't speak Italian." "You'd be surprised how many Italian consultants in New York don't actually speak Italian." He pointed to the second. "Sarah Chen, tech investor from Singapore, background in venture capital, good for the business side." Serena looked at the third option. Victoria Blackwell, corporate strategist, MBA from Wharton, 10 years of experience in hostile takeovers and business restructuring, currently freelance, available for high-level consulting. "This one," Serena said. "You sure? It's the hardest to pull off. You'd need to actually know the business." "I've spent 3 months learning Roman's business. I know his weak points better than his own advisors do." Serena looked up at Marcus. "I can do this." Marcus studied her. "Victoria Blackwell it is. But you need to understand, once you step into this identity, you can't slip. One mistake, one moment where Roman sees Serena instead of Victoria, and everything collapses." "I won't slip." "We'll see." Marcus took the folder back. "We'll spend the next 3 months building Victoria's reputation, references, successful projects, a paper trail that stands up to scrutiny. By the time you approach anyone connected to Roman, Victoria Blackwell will be exactly who she says she is." Serena felt something shift inside her. This was real now, not just research and planning, actual action. "What about Noah?" "Dr. Harmon's agreed to watch him when you're working. She's retired now, has the time, and frankly, she's better with babies than either of us." Marcus stood. "But Serena, you need to be sure. Once you start this, there's no going back. You'll be living 2 lives, Victoria Blackwell during the day, Serena Vale at night. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to be dangerous, and if Roman ever finds out, he won't. You don't know that. I know I'd rather die trying to destroy him than spend the rest of my life hiding." Serena stood, still holding Noah. "He took everything from me. My home, my marriage, my life. He tried to kill me. He tried to kill our son." Her voice didn't shake. "I'm taking everything from him. And when he's lost it all, when he's standing in the ruins of his empire with nothing left, I'm going to tell him exactly who did it and why." Marcus smiled. "Then let's get started." The transformation took longer than Serena expected. Victoria Blackwell needed more than a fake ID. She needed a personality, a way of speaking, a set of mannerisms completely different from Serena Vale. Serena had been soft-spoken, deferential, the kind of wife who smiled through charity events and didn't ask questions about business. Victoria was sharp, confident, the kind of woman who walked into boardrooms and made men nervous. "You're slouching," Marcus said during one of their practice sessions. "Victoria doesn't slouch. She takes up space." Serena straightened, rolling her shoulders back. "Better. Now say the line again." "But the profit margins on your last 3 acquisitions suggest a pattern of overvaluation and rushed due diligence." Serena kept her voice level, professional. "If you continue at this rate, your portfolio will collapse within 18 months. "Good. But don't apologize with your body language. You're not sorry for pointing out facts." Serena practiced until she could deliver harsh truths without flinching. They worked on her appearance next. Victoria dressed in sharp suits and expensive heels. Her hair was darker, cut in a sleek bob that changed her face shape. Contact lenses turned her eyes from hazel to steel gray. When Serena looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. "Perfect," Marcus said. "Roman could walk past you on the street and not know." Serena hoped he was right. By month 6, Victoria Blackwell had her first clients. Small companies Marcus had connections to, businesses that needed the kind of strategic consulting Victoria supposedly specialized in. Serena threw herself into the work, using everything she'd learned over the past half year to analyze, strategize, and deliver results. She was good at it, better than good. The clients were happy. They referred her to others. Within 2 months, Victoria had a reputation as someone who could turn failing companies around or identify profitable acquisition targets. Marcus monitored Roman's business the entire time. "The real estate deal is shaky," he reported one evening. "Roman's trying to develop a property in Manhattan, but the permits are stuck in bureaucratic hell. If it falls through, he'll lose millions." "Who's handling the permits?" "Some city official named Thomas Reed, low-level bureaucrat with authority over zoning approvals." Serena made a note. "I need everything on him: family, finances, weaknesses." "Already on it." 2 weeks later, Serena had what she needed. Thomas Reed had a gambling problem, not public, not obvious, but serious enough that he was drowning in debt. Victoria Blackwell reached out through intermediaries, offered to cover Reed's debts in exchange for a small favor, slowing down the permit approval for Roman's development just enough to make the timeline impossible. Reed agreed. The permits stalled. The development fell through. Roman lost $12 million. Serena watched the news coverage with Noah sleeping against her shoulder, feeling that cold satisfaction again. "2 down," she murmured. 1 to go. The shipping deal was the biggest. If it succeeded, it would cement Roman's position as one of the most powerful businessmen on the East Coast. If it failed, it would raise serious questions about his judgment and his company's stability. Serena wanted it to fail spectacularly. But this one was different. The shipping deal involved international partners, complex contracts, and a level of scrutiny that made sabotage risky. She needed to get closer. She needed access to Roman's inner circle. "I have an idea," Marcus said one night. "Roman's looking for a consultant, someone to handle the strategic analysis for the shipping deal." Serena's pulse quickened. "How do you know?" "Because I made sure the consultant he had lined up suddenly became unavailable." Marcus smiled. "There's an opening. Victoria Blackwell has the exact credentials Roman needs. All you have to do is apply. And if he interviews me, if we're in the same room, then you prove you're better at this than he is." Marcus met her eyes. "You've been preparing for 6 months. You're ready." Serena thought about Noah, sleeping in the next room, about the life she was building in the shadows, about everything she stood to lose if this went wrong. Then she thought about Roman's hands on her arms, the glass door closing, the storm. "Set up the interview," she said. Victoria Blackwell's resume landed on Roman Vale's desk 3 days later. The interview was scheduled for 2 in the afternoon at Vale Industries' Manhattan headquarters. Serena stood outside the building at 1:50, dressed in Victoria Blackwell's armor, a charcoal gray suit that cost more than she'd ever spent on clothes in her previous life, heels that added 3 inches to her height, and a leather portfolio that contained analyses so thorough they'd make Roman's current advisors look incompetent. Her hair was dark and severe. Her eyes were gray behind the contacts. Her wedding ring was gone. replaced by a simple silver band on her right hand. She didn't look like Serena Vale. She didn't feel like her either. "You've got this," Marcus said through the earpiece hidden beneath her hair. He was parked 2 blocks away, monitoring everything. "Remember, you're Victoria. You're the best strategic consultant on the East Coast, and Roman's lucky you're even considering his offer." Serena took a breath and walked through the revolving doors. The lobby was exactly as she remembered, all marble and glass and aggressive wealth. She'd been here before, years ago, back when Roman used to bring her to company events and introduce her as my beautiful wife, like she was an accessory instead of a person. Nobody recognized her now. The receptionist smiled professionally. "Can I help you?" "Victoria Blackwell. I have a 2 o'clock with Mr. Vale." "Of course. Top floor. The executive assistant will meet you there." Serena rode the elevator up 43 floors, her heart hammering against her ribs. The last time she'd seen Roman, he was closing a glass door while she begged for her life. Now she was walking into his office wearing a stranger's face. The elevator doors opened. Vanessa Crowe stood waiting. Serena's blood turned to ice. Vanessa looked different than she had that night. More polished, more confident. She wore a burgundy dress that probably cost $5,000 and diamond earrings that caught the light when she moved. Her hair was pulled back in a twist that showed off her neck. She was wearing Serena's necklace, the one Roman had given Serena on their 2nd anniversary. White gold with a sapphire pendant. Serena had left it behind the night of the hurricane because she'd been 8 months pregnant and nothing fit right, and jewelry felt ridiculous when your body was falling apart. Now it sat around Vanessa's throat like a trophy. "Miss Blackwell?" Vanessa extended her hand. "I'm Vanessa Crowe, Mr. Vale's executive assistant and partner." "Partner. Not assistant. Partner." Serena shook her hand and kept her face perfectly blank. "Pleasure. Mr. Vale is running a few minutes behind. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water?" "I'm fine." "Perfect. Right this way." Vanessa led her down a hallway lined with photographs of Roman at various corporate events, ribbon cuttings, charity galas. In half of them, Vanessa stood beside him where Serena used to be. They'd erased her completely. Vanessa opened the door to a conference room. "Mr. Vale will join you shortly. In the meantime, I'll need you to sign this NDA, standard procedure for anyone working with sensitive company information." She slid the document across the table. Serena read it carefully, looking for traps. It was legitimate, a standard non-disclosure agreement with reasonable terms. She signed it as Victoria Blackwell, her handwriting nothing like Serena's looping script. "Excellent." Vanessa collected the document. "I've reviewed your portfolio, Ms. Blackwell. Very impressive, though I have to say, your background is surprisingly difficult to verify." Serena's pulse spiked, but her face stayed calm. "How so?" "You claim to have consulted for several European firms, but when we reached out, most of them were reluctant to discuss details. That's because I signed NDAs with them, too. Confidentiality is the foundation of my work." Serena met Vanessa's eyes. "If that's a problem, perhaps Vale Industries isn't the right fit." She started to stand. "Wait." Vanessa held up a hand. "I didn't say it was a problem, just unusual. The best consultants are unusual. That's why you hire them." Serena sat back down. "Is Mr. Vale concerned about my qualifications?" "Mr. Vale doesn't concern himself with details. That's what I'm for." Vanessa smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I protect his interests, all of them." The threat was barely veiled. Serena smiled back. "Then we have something in common. I protect my clients' interests, which is why I don't share confidential information, even when people like you ask nicely." Vanessa's smile went sharp. "People like me?" "Gatekeepers. The ones who think their job is to intimidate consultants instead of actually solving problems." For a second, Vanessa looked like she wanted to throw Serena out of the building. Then the door opened. Roman walked in. Serena's entire body locked up. He looked the same, exactly the same. Dark hair, sharp jaw, expensive suit that fit him like it was made by someone who understood his body better than he did. The same face she'd loved, the same hands that had pushed her into the storm. "Ms. Blackwell." Roman extended his hand. "Roman Vale. Sorry to keep you waiting." Serena stood and shook his hand. His grip was firm, confident, completely impersonal. He looked at her the way he'd look at any consultant, assessing, calculating, trying to figure out if she was worth his time. He didn't recognize her, not even a flicker. "Mr. Vale," Serena said, keeping her voice level, "thank you for seeing me. Your resume is impressive." Roman sat down at the head of the table. Vanessa took the seat beside him. "Though I have to admit, I'm curious why you're interested in this project. The shipping deal is complex, high risk, and frankly, most consultants don't have the stomach for it. Most consultants don't understand international logistics." Serena opened her portfolio and slid a document across the table. "I've reviewed the public components of your deal, the partnerships with Meridian Shipping and Pacific Container Group, the proposed routes, the projected timelines." Roman glanced at the document. "And you're going to fail." The room went silent. Vanessa's expression turned cold. "Excuse me?" "Your timeline is impossible," Serena continued, keeping her tone professional. "You're trying to establish new shipping routes through Southeast Asia during monsoon season while simultaneously negotiating port access in 3 different countries with conflicting regulatory frameworks. Even if everything goes perfectly, which it won't, you'll miss your launch deadline by at least 4 months. Roman's jaw tightened. "Our analysts say otherwise." "Your analysts are wrong, or they're telling you what you want to hear instead of what you need to know." Serena pulled out another document. "I ran the numbers, accounting for weather delays, permit processing times, and the political situation in 2 of your target countries. Your best-case scenario is a 6-month delay. Worst case, the whole thing collapses and you lose your partnerships." "That's quite an assumption based on publicly available information," Vanessa said. "It's not an assumption, it's analysis." Serena looked at Roman. "You brought me here because your previous consultant backed out. Did he tell you why?" Roman's expression didn't change. "He cited a scheduling conflict. He cited reality. He knew the deal was structured wrong and he didn't want his name attached to the failure." Serena leaned forward. "I don't have that problem. If you hire me, I'll tell you the truth, even when it's ugly. And right now the truth is that you need to restructure this entire deal or walk away." "Walk away from a $20 million opportunity?" Vanessa's voice was sharp. "That's your professional advice?" "My professional advice is to stop the bleeding before it starts." Serena turned to her. "But if Mr. Vale wants to throw $20 million into the ocean because his ego won't let him admit a deal is bad, that's his choice. I'm just here to point out there's a cliff ahead." Vanessa looked like she wanted to physically remove Serena from the building. Roman surprisingly laughed. "You're direct," he said. "I appreciate that. You're paying for expertise, not flattery." Serena held his gaze. "If you wanted someone to tell you how brilliant you are, you should have hired a publicist instead of a consultant." Roman studied her for a long moment. "What would you do differently?" "I'd restructure the timeline, push the launch back 8 months. Use the extra time to build stronger relationships with the port authorities and navigate the regulatory issues properly instead of trying to rush through them." Serena pulled out a third document, a full restructuring plan she'd spent 2 weeks developing. "I'd also renegotiate the partnership terms with Meridian. They're taking too much equity for too little risk. You can get better terms if you're willing to walk away from the table." "Meridian won't renegotiate," Vanessa said. "We've already tried." "You tried. I haven't." Serena slid the restructuring plan across the table. "Meridian's CEO, Richard Chen, has a reputation for being unmovable, but he also has a problem. His board is pushing him to expand into European markets, and he doesn't have the capital to do it alone. If you offer him access to Vale Industries' European connections in exchange for better terms on this deal, he'll negotiate." Roman picked up the restructuring plan and flipped through it. His expression was unreadable. "This is thorough," he said finally. "That's what you're paying for." "I haven't agreed to pay you anything yet." "Then you're wasting both our time." Serena stood. "Mr. Vale, I'm very good at what I do, but I don't beg for work. If you want me to save this deal, my rate is $50,000 plus equity percentage based on the final valuation. If you don't, I have 3 other clients who actually value strategic thinking." She picked up her portfolio. "Wait." Roman held up a hand. "Sit down." Serena hesitated, then sat. Roman looked at Vanessa. "Give us the room."
Vanessa's expression flickered with something that might have been anger or jealousy or both. Roman, I need to speak with Ms. Blackwell privately. We'll finish this later. For a second, Vanessa looked like she might argue. Then she stood, smoothed her dress, and walked out without another word. The door closed with a soft click. Serena and Roman were alone. Her heart was hammering so hard she was sure he could hear it. This was the man who'd destroyed her, the man she'd loved, the man she was going to ruin, and he was looking at her like she was just another business transaction. You're right about Meridian, Roman said. Chen's been pushing back on every negotiation point. My team thinks he's bluffing. He's not. He's desperate. Desperate people don't bluff. They dig in. Serena kept her voice steady. But desperate people also make mistakes. If you know what they need, you can turn their desperation into leverage. And you know what Chen needs? I know what everyone needs. Money, power, or protection from their own weaknesses. Serena met his eyes. Chen needs legitimacy in European markets. You can give him that. In exchange, he gives you better terms and a partnership that actually works, instead of one that collapses in 6 months. Roman leaned back in his chair, studying her. Why do I get the feeling you don't actually care about my shipping deal? Serena's blood went cold. What do you mean? You walked in here and immediately told me I was failing. Most consultants spend the first meeting kissing ass and proving they're worth hiring. You spent it telling me I'm an idiot. I didn't call you an idiot. No, but you implied it. Roman's eyes were sharp, which means either you're supremely confident in your abilities or you have another agenda. My agenda is doing good work and getting paid for it. Is it? Roman stood and walked to the window overlooking Manhattan. I've built this company by reading people, Miss Blackwell, and you're very hard to read. That's because I don't perform for clients. Everyone performs. It's just a question of what role they're playing. He turned to face her. What's your role? Serena forced herself to hold his gaze. I'm the person who tells you the truth when everyone else is lying. If that makes you uncomfortable, you should hire someone else. Roman was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. The same smile that used to make Serena's heart race back when she thought he was capable of loving her. You're hired, he said. 50,000 plus 2% equity in the shipping venture. You'll work directly with me and Vanessa. I want weekly progress reports and full access to the deal structure. Fine, but I work independently. If your team disagrees with my recommendations, I need final say on strategic decisions. That's not how I run my company. Then you're not hiring a consultant. You're hiring a yes man with a fancy title. Serena stood. I don't work that way. Roman studied her again. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. All right, final say on strategy. But if this deal fails, it's on you. If this deal fails, it'll be because you ignored my advice. Serena extended her hand. Do we have an agreement? Roman shook her hand. His grip was exactly as she remembered. Firm, possessive, like he was claiming ownership of everything he touched. Serena pulled her hand back and picked up her portfolio. I'll need full access to the deal documents by tomorrow morning, and I want to meet with your legal team by the end of the week. I'll have Vanessa coordinate. Perfect. Serena headed for the door, then paused. One more thing, Mr. Vale. Yes? I don't do office politics. If your assistant has a problem with me, she needs to either get over it or stay out of my way. I'm here to do a job, not navigate corporate drama. Roman's expression was amused. Vanessa can be protective of my interests. Vanessa can be whatever she wants, as long as she doesn't interfere with my work. Serena opened the door. I'll send over my contract terms tonight. She walked out before Roman could respond. Vanessa was waiting in the hallway, her arms crossed, her expression cold. That was quick. Mr. Vale is efficient. So am I. Serena headed for the elevator. Ms. Blackwell. Vanessa's voice stopped her. A word of advice. Roman Vale is brilliant, but he doesn't respond well to people who think they're smarter than him. Serena turned. Good thing I don't think I'm smarter than him. I know I am. She stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the lobby. The doors closed on Vanessa's furious expression. Serena waited until she was alone before letting herself shake. Holy shit, Marcus said through the earpiece. You just walked into the lion's den and made him hire you. Serena leaned against the elevator wall, her legs suddenly weak. I can't believe he didn't recognize me. You're a completely different person, different look, different voice, different everything. Marcus sounded impressed.
How do you feel? Like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. The first face-to-face is always the hardest. The elevator reached the lobby. Serena walked out into the afternoon sunlight, blinking against the brightness. Did you hear what Vanessa called herself? Serena said quietly. Partner. She's not even hiding it anymore. No, she's been living in your house for 8 months, wearing your jewelry, playing wife to your husband. Marcus paused. This is good, Serena. It gives you another target. I don't want another target. I want Roman. You can have both. Vanessa's the one who helped him destroy you. She deserves consequences, too. Serena thought about the necklace, about Vanessa's hand on Roman's arm, about the smile on her face while Serena pounded on glass in a hurricane. Yeah, she said softly. She does. Over the next 2 weeks, Victoria Blackwell became indispensable to Vale Industries. Serena threw herself into the shipping deal with an intensity that surprised even her. She restructured the timeline, renegotiated terms with Meridian exactly as she'd predicted, and identified 3 critical regulatory issues that Roman's legal team had completely missed. Roman was impressed. Vanessa was suspicious. You're very good at this, Roman said during one of their strategy meetings. It was just the 2 of them in his office, reviewing contract amendments. Where did you say you worked before? I didn't. Serena kept her eyes on the documents. Confidentiality agreements, remember? Right. Still, it's unusual for someone with your skills to be freelance. Most consultants at your level get snapped up by major firms. Major firms require politics. I don't do politics. Clearly, Roman leaned back in his chair. Vanessa thinks you're hiding something. Serena looked up. Vanessa thinks everyone's hiding something. It's what happens when you build a career on paranoia. She's protective. She's territorial. There's a difference. Serena closed the document folder. Does her opinion matter to you? Should it? That depends. Are you hiring me to do a job, or are you hiring me to make your assistant comfortable? Roman smiled. You really don't care what people think of you, do you? I care about results. Everything else is noise. That's a lonely way to live. The comment hit harder than it should have. Serena thought about the cabin, about Noah, about the life she was building in the shadows while Victoria Blackwell played corporate games in Manhattan. Maybe, she said, but it's honest. Roman studied her for a moment that stretched too long. Then he stood and poured himself a drink from the bar cart in the corner. Want one? I don't drink during business hours. It's after 6. Business hours are over. Then I should go. Stay. It wasn't quite a command, but it was close. I want to ask you something off the record. Serena's instinct screamed at her to leave, but Victoria Blackwell wouldn't run from a conversation. What do you want to know? Roman took a sip of his drink. Do you believe in second chances? The question caught her off guard. In business or in life? Both. Serena thought about the woman drowning in mud during a hurricane, about the glass door that wouldn't open, about Roman's face when he pushed her outside. No, she said. I believe in consequences. That's harsh. That's reality. People make choices. Those choices have results. Pretending otherwise is how weak people justify their mistakes. Roman's expression shifted into something darker. What if the choice was based on bad information? What if someone made a decision that destroyed everything, but they didn't know the truth? Serena's heart started racing. Are we still talking in hypotheticals? I had a wife. Roman's voice went quiet. Serena. She disappeared during the hurricane last year. Serena forced herself to breathe normally. I read about that. The news coverage was extensive. She was pregnant, 8 months. The baby would be... He stopped. Would have been born by now. You think she's dead? The police think she's dead, no body, but the storm was brutal. People died that night. Roman finished his drink. I think she ran. Oh, why would she run? Because we fought, right before she disappeared. I accused her of something terrible, betraying me, selling information to my competitors. Roman's jaw tightened. I had evidence, documents, bank accounts with her signature.
I was so sure. And now? Now I'm not sure of anything. He poured another drink. 6 months after she disappeared, I found discrepancies in the evidence. Small things. Details that didn't match.
When I looked closer, I realized someone had forged the documents. Serena's blood went cold. Who? I don't know, but whoever did it knew exactly how to make it look real. Roman turned to face her. What would you do, Ms. Blackwell? If you destroyed someone based on lies, and by the time you figured it out, they were gone, dead or hiding, either way unreachable. This was the moment. Serena could tell him. She could say the words, I'm Serena, I survived, your son is alive, and watch his world implode. But Victoria Blackwell wouldn't do that. Victoria Blackwell would give him exactly what he deserved. I'd live with it, Serena said. I'd accept that I made a choice based on the information I had, and that choice had consequences I can't undo. Then I'd make sure it never happened again. That's it? Just live with it? What else is there? You can't bring her back. You can't change what you did. All you can do is not make the same mistake twice. Roman looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You're colder than I expected. I'm realistic. You asked for my opinion. That's it. Serena stood. If you're looking for absolution, Mr. Vale, hire a therapist. I'm here to save your shipping deal, not your conscience. She walked out before he could respond. In the elevator, Serena's hand shook so badly she had to grip the railing to stay upright. You okay? Marcus's voice in her ear. He knows the evidence was forged. What? Roman. He figured it out 6 months ago. He knows someone set me up. Did he say who? No, but there's only one person who had access to create that kind of forgery. Marcus was quiet for a beat. Vanessa. Vanessa. Serena felt fury rising in her chest, hot and sharp. She didn't just help him throw me out. She manufactured the entire reason. Then we need to prove it. We will. Serena stepped out of the elevator into the lobby. But first, I'm going to make sure she knows exactly what it feels like to lose everything. That night, Serena stood in Noah's room at the cabin, watching him sleep. He was 9 months old now, starting to pull himself up on furniture, making sounds that almost resembled words. He had Roman's eyes and Serena's smile, and absolutely no idea that his father was a monster who'd tried to kill them both. Mama's going to fix this, Serena whispered. I promise. Noah stirred but didn't wake. Dr. Harmon appeared in the doorway. He's getting so big. I know, I feel like I blink and he's completely different. That's how it works. Children don't wait for us to be ready. Dr. Harmon came into the room. How are you holding up? Marcus told me about the meeting with Roman. I'm fine. That's what people say when they're not fine. Serena turned away from the crib. He didn't recognize me. I stood 3 feet away from the man I was married to for 5 years, and he looked at me like I was a stranger. That's what you wanted. I know, but it still... Serena's voice caught. It still hurts. Dr. Harmon was quiet for a moment. Then, can I tell you something I learned a long time ago? What? Revenge is easy. It's the aftermath that destroys you. I'm not looking for revenge. Yes, you are. And I understand why. But Serena, when this is over, when you've taken everything from Roman and exposed what he did, what happens then? Serena looked down at Noah. Then he pays for what he did. And we're free. Are you sure about that? Or are you going to spend the rest of your life defined by what he took from you? The question hung in the air. Serena didn't have an answer. Dr. Harmon left her alone with her thoughts. The next morning, Victoria Blackwell received an urgent call from Roman's assistant. Mr. Vale needs you in the office immediately, Vanessa said, her voice tight. There's been a development with the shipping deal. Serena arrived 30 minutes later to find Roman's office in chaos. His legal team was assembled, everyone talking over each other, papers spread across the conference table. What happened? Serena asked. Meridian pulled out. Roman's voice was flat, controlled, but Serena could see the fury in his eyes. Chen called this morning and said they're terminating the partnership effective immediately. Did he say why? He said the deal structure was too risky and they're pursuing other opportunities. But that's bullshit. Someone got to him. Serena's mind raced. She hadn't done this. She'd been working to save the deal, not destroy it, which meant someone else was sabotaging Roman.
Who else knew the details of your negotiation with Chen? Serena asked. Just my core team. Legal, finance, and Roman stopped. Everyone in the room looked at Vanessa. Don't, Vanessa said, her voice sharp. Don't even think it. You're the only one with access to the full negotiation records, Roman's lead attorney said. If Chen got spooked, someone fed him information. I would never. Then explain this. The attorney slid a document across the table. Chen's termination letter references specific concerns that weren't in any of our public discussions. Someone told him about the timeline issues and the regulatory problems. Someone inside this office. Vanessa's face went white. Roman, you can't possibly believe. I don't know what to believe anymore. Roman's voice was cold. First Serena, now this. Everyone around me seems to be hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. Then prove it. Roman stood. Full audit of your communications. Email, phone records, everything. If you're innocent, you have nothing to worry about. Vanessa looked like she'd been slapped. You're seriously doing this? After everything I've done for you? What you've done for me is make yourself invaluable, which would be the perfect position to destroy me from. The room went silent. Vanessa grabbed her bag and walked out. The door slammed behind her. Serena stood very still, her mind working through possibilities. Someone was sabotaging Roman's deals. Someone with inside access. Someone who wanted to see him fall. But it wasn't her, which meant she had competition. And she needed to find out who it was before they destroyed everything she'd been building for the past 9 months. Roman dismissed the legal team 20 minutes later, but asked Victoria to stay. Serena watched the attorneys file out, their expressions tight with the kind of tension that came from watching your boss's personal life implode in real time. When the door closed, Roman poured himself a drink. It was barely 11 in the morning. This is the second time someone close to me has betrayed me, he said, staring at the amber liquid. You'd think I'd learn. Maybe you're asking the wrong question. Roman looked up. What do you mean? You're assuming betrayal, but what if it's incompetence? Serena moved to the conference table and started organizing the scattered documents. Vanessa could have made a mistake, shared information without realizing the consequences. That's different from sabotage. You didn't see her face when I asked for the audit. I saw someone who's been accused before defending herself. That doesn't make her guilty. Roman set down his drink. Why are you defending her? She's been hostile to you since day one. I'm not defending her. I'm suggesting you think clearly before you burn down your entire operation looking for traitors. Serena pulled up the timeline on her laptop. Chen pulled out this morning, but I talked to him yesterday afternoon and he was still fully committed. Something changed between then and now. What are you saying? I'm saying the leak might not be coming from your office at all. Roman's expression shifted. You think someone on Chen's side is playing us? I think you're bleeding from multiple wounds and you're so focused on the one in front of you that you're missing the others. Serena pulled up her analysis. Look at your company's position over the past year. The tech merger collapsed. The real estate deal fell through. Now the shipping partnership. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. I'm aware of the pattern. Then you should be asking who benefits from Vale Industries failing, not who you can blame inside these walls. Roman came around the table to look at her screen. He stood close enough that Serena could smell his cologne, the same scent from her old life, expensive and familiar and wrong. Who do you think is doing this? He asked quietly. Serena had a list, a long list. Companies Roman had destroyed on his way to building his empire. Business partners he'd cut out of deals. Competitors he'd crushed. The man made enemies the way other people made coffee. But she couldn't tell him that Victoria Blackwell shouldn't know Roman's entire corporate history. I'd need access to your full business records going back 5 years, she said instead. Every deal, every acquisition, every partnership that went south. If someone's targeting you systematically, they'll show up in the pattern. That's thousands of hours of records. Then it's a good thing you're paying me well. Serena closed the laptop. But I need complete access. No restrictions. No information held back because it's embarrassing or personal. There are things in those records that could destroy me if they went public. Then you'd better hope I'm as good at keeping secrets as I am at finding them. Roman studied her face. You know what I can't figure out about you, Victoria? Serena's pulse spiked. What's that? Why you care? This is just a job for you.
But the way you're approaching it, it's like you have a personal stake in saving my company. I have a personal stake in doing good work. Your company surviving is how I prove I'm the best. Serena held his gaze. Is that a problem? No, it's refreshing. Roman stepped back. You'll have access to the archives by end of day. But Victoria, if you find something that puts me at risk, I need to know before anyone else does. You're the client. You'll know first. Roman nodded and left the conference room. Serena waited until his footsteps faded before letting herself breathe. That was close, Marcus said through the earpiece. Too close. Serena started packing up her materials. He's getting suspicious. Of Victoria? Of everyone, which makes him dangerous. Serena headed for the elevator. I need you to dig into Vanessa's communications. If she really did leak information to Chen, I want to know about it. You think she's sabotaging Roman? I think she's the one who forged the evidence against me. That takes planning, resources, the kind of calculating mind that doesn't just go away. Serena stepped into the elevator. If Vanessa's working her own angle, I need to know what it is before she destroys what I've been building. And if she's innocent, then Roman's got another enemy I don't know about, which is worse. The elevator descended and Serena caught her reflection in the polished doors. Victoria Blackwell stared back, sharp, professional, nothing like the woman who'd crawled through mud begging for her life. Sometimes Serena forgot which one was real anymore. That afternoon, Marcus sent over Vanessa's communication records. Serena sat in the cabin with Noah napping in the next room, scrolling through emails and text messages that painted a picture of a woman who was meticulous, paranoid, and absolutely obsessed with Roman Vale, but not a saboteur, at least not recently. She's clean, Serena said when Marcus called. No contact with Chen, no suspicious communications with anyone connected to Meridian. So Roman's suspicions are wrong. Or Vanessa's better at covering her tracks than we thought. Serena pulled up an older email chain from a year ago, right around the time of the hurricane. Wait, look at this. She sent the screenshot to Marcus. The email was from Vanessa to someone named David Reeves with the subject line, Final verification needed on SV documents. Marcus was quiet for a moment. SV Serena Vale. She's asking for verification on documents. Documents that she's supposed to be checking before presenting to Roman. Serena's hands were shaking. This is it. This is proof she manufactured the evidence. It's not enough. One email with initials doesn't prove forgery. Then I need more. Serena pulled up Vanessa's file structure. If she created false documents, there'll be traces. Digital footprints. Something. Serena, you need to be careful. If you access Vanessa's personal files without authorization, I'm not accessing anything. Victoria Blackwell is conducting a corporate audit on behalf of her client, Roman Vale, who specifically requested full transparency regarding potential information leaks. Serena's voice was cold. If I happen to find evidence of criminal activity, that's just good consulting. She spent the next 4 hours digging through Vanessa's digital history. What she found was damning. Vanessa had created an entire folder structure labeled Project Clearing, with subfolders for bank accounts, email forgeries, and timeline documentation. Everything she'd needed to frame Serena was there, meticulously organized and backed up to 3 separate cloud services. The woman was either supremely confident or supremely stupid. Serena was betting on confident. She downloaded everything, encrypted the files, and sent them to a secure server Marcus maintained for exactly this kind of evidence. I've got her, Serena said. Complete documentation of the forgery, dates, methods, everything. What are you going to do with it? Good question. Serena could give it to Roman right now. Watch him realize that Vanessa had destroyed his marriage, drove away his wife, and indirectly caused the loss of his child. Watch him turn on her the way he'd turned on Serena. But that would mean revealing that Victoria Blackwell had access to information she shouldn't have. It would raise questions about how thoroughly she'd investigated and why. It would make Roman suspicious. I'm going to wait, Serena said finally. Let this play out. If Vanessa really is sabotaging the shipping deal, she'll make another move. When she does, I'll have everything I need to destroy her completely. And if she's not involved in the current sabotage, then someone else is doing my job for me. Serena closed the laptop. Either way, Vanessa's days are numbered. Noah started crying from the bedroom. Serena ended the call and went to her son, lifting him from the crib and holding him close. He was teething, miserable, his whole world reduced to pain he didn't understand. She knew the feeling. "It's okay, baby," she murmured, rocking him. "Mama's got you." Noah buried his face against her shoulder and cried harder. Serena carried him to the kitchen and prepared a bottle, balancing him on her hip while she worked. This was her real life. Not the corporate espionage, not the carefully constructed lies, just her and Noah, surviving. Everything else was just noise. The next morning, Roman called an emergency meeting. Serena arrived to find not just the legal team, but Roman's entire board of directors assembled in the largest conference room. Vanessa sat at the far end of the table, her expression carefully blank. "We have a situation," Roman said without preamble. "Someone leaked our acquisition strategy for the Portland shipping terminal to the press. The story broke an hour ago." He threw a newspaper onto the table. The headline read, "Vail Industries' Aggressive Expansion Tactics Under Fire. Internal documents reveal questionable practices." Serena picked up the paper and skimmed the article. It detailed Roman's plans to acquire the Portland terminal through a series of shell companies and backroom deals that skirted federal regulations. Everything in the article was accurate, which meant the leak came from someone with deep access to Roman's strategic planning. "This is a disaster," one of the board members said. "The SEC is going to investigate. We'll be lucky if we don't face criminal charges." "We're not facing anything," Roman said, his voice tight, "because we're going to find who leaked this information and we're going to make sure they never work in this industry again." "The leak came from inside this room," Vanessa said quietly. "Only 12 people had access to the Portland strategy documents." Everyone looked at each other. The paranoia was thick enough to cut. "I want a full investigation," Roman continued. "Email records, phone logs, security footage, everything. Whoever did this is going to pay." Serena raised her hand. "Before we start a witch hunt, can I ask a question?" Roman nodded. "Who benefits from this leak?" "Not personally, strategically. Who gains from Vail Industries being under federal investigation?" "Our competitors," someone said. "Specifically?" Serena pressed. Roman's jaw tightened. "Titan Maritime. They've been trying to acquire the Portland terminal for 2 years. If we're blocked by federal investigation, they can swoop in and take it." "Then that's where you look first." Serena pulled up her laptop. "The leak might not be coming from inside this room. It could be someone in your outer circle who's being paid by Titan to feed them information. You think we have a spy? I think you have someone who's decided their financial future is better served by your competitors than by you." Serena started pulling up personnel records. "How many people have access to your schedule, your calendar, your travel plans?" "Maybe 20. How many of them have financial problems? Gambling debts, expensive divorces, medical bills?" The room went quiet. "Start there," Serena said, "because whoever's doing this didn't wake up one morning and decide to destroy you. They were recruited, probably paid, and people who take money leave trails." Roman looked at her with something that might have been respect. "You've done this before. I've cleaned up enough corporate disasters to know the patterns." Serena closed her laptop. "Run a financial background check on everyone with strategic access. Cross-reference it with any contact they've had with Titan or their subsidiaries. If there's a mole, they'll show up. And if they don't, then you've got a bigger problem than a mole. You've got someone smart enough to cover their tracks professionally." Serena stood. "But let's start with the obvious answer before we assume conspiracy." The meeting dissolved into smaller groups, people pulling out phones and laptops, starting the investigation Serena had outlined. Vanessa caught her in the hallway. "That was convenient," she said, her voice low. "What was?" "You, showing up right when Roman's empire is falling apart, positioning yourself as the only person who can save him." Vanessa stepped closer. "I've been watching you, Victoria. You're very good at being indispensable. That's what consultants do. We make ourselves valuable. Or you make everyone else look incompetent, so you seem brilliant by comparison." Vanessa's eyes were hard. "I know what you're doing." "Do you? You're trying to replace me. Get Roman to trust you more than he trusts me. Isolate me until he pushes me out." Serena almost laughed. "Vanessa, I don't care about your relationship with Roman. I care about the shipping deal. That's it." "Liar,"
Vanessa's voice dropped to barely a whisper. I see the way you look at him. Like you know him. Like you've known him for years instead of weeks. Serena's blood went cold. I look at him like a client, she said carefully. Nothing more. Keep telling yourself that. Vanessa turned to leave, then paused. Just remember, I've survived in Roman's world a lot longer than you have, and I didn't do it by playing nice. She walked away. Serena stood in the empty hallway, her heart racing. Vanessa was getting suspicious, which meant Victoria Blackwell's time was running out. 3 days later, the investigation found Roman's mole. His name was Peter Grayson. Senior analyst. Access to all strategic documents. And according to the financial records, he deposited $30,000 into his account 2 weeks before the Portland leak. Roman fired him immediately and turned the evidence over to the FBI. But the damage was done. The SEC opened a formal investigation into Vail Industries. The Portland deal was dead, and Roman's stock price dropped 15% in a single day. Serena watched it all from the cabin, holding Noah and trying not to feel the sick satisfaction of watching Roman's empire crumble. This wasn't her work. She hadn't planted Grayson, hadn't orchestrated the leak, but she'd helped Roman find the mole, which meant she'd cemented Victoria Blackwell's position as his most trusted advisor. And that was dangerous, because the closer she got to Roman, the harder it would be to maintain the distance that kept her safe. You need to pull back, Dr. Harmon said that evening. She'd come by to check on Noah and found Serena staring at news coverage of Vail Industries' collapse. You're getting too deep. I'm exactly where I need to be. You're losing yourself. I can see it. Dr. Harmon sat down beside her. When you first came here, you were clear about what you wanted. Survival, safety, a future for your son. Now you're playing corporate spy and spending more time in Manhattan than you do with Noah. Noah is fine. Noah needs his mother, not a ghost who shows up between revenge schemes. The words hit like a slap. I am his mother. Are you? Because right now you're Victoria Blackwell, and I'm watching Serena disappear. Serena looked down at Noah, sleeping in her arms. He looked so peaceful, so trusting, like he knew his mother would protect him from everything. But Serena wasn't protecting him. She was chasing ghosts. I'm almost done, she said quietly. One more move and Roman will know everything. Then I can walk away. Will you? Dr. Harmon's expression was sad. Or will there always be one more move? One more thing you need to do before you're satisfied? Serena didn't have an answer. Dr. Harmon left without pushing further. That night, Serena couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Victoria Blackwell and Serena Vail and which one of them was real. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I know who you are. Serena's blood turned to ice. She sat up, staring at the screen, her hands shaking. Another text. Meet me tomorrow, noon. The coffee shop on 5th and Madison. Come alone. Serena's mind raced through possibilities. Who knew? How did they find out? Was this a trap? She typed, Who is this? The response came immediately. Someone who can help you, or destroy you. Your choice. Serena stared at the phone for a long time. Then she texted Marcus. We have a problem. The coffee shop was crowded at noon. Serena arrived 15 minutes early, scanning faces, looking for threats. Marcus was positioned across the street in the SUV, watching through long-range cameras. I don't like this, he said through the earpiece. It smells like a setup. Noted. Serena ordered coffee she wouldn't drink and took a table by the window. At exactly noon, someone sat down across from her, Richard Chen. Serena's breath caught. Chen was in his 50s, gray hair, expensive suit, the kind of man who looked like money because he had so much of it that nothing else mattered. He was the CEO of Meridian Shipping, the partner who'd pulled out of Roman's deal. Ms. Blackwell, he said, smiling. Or should I call you Mrs. Vail? Serena's world tilted. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Chen pulled out a tablet and slid it across the table. Facial recognition software, very advanced, very expensive. I ran it on every person who's been in contact with Roman Vail in the past year. On the screen was a split image. Victoria Blackwell on the left, Serena Vail on the right. The match probability, 93%.
The contacts change your eye color. The hair dye is good. The mannerisms are excellent. Chen leaned back. But bone structure doesn't lie. You're Roman Vale's missing wife. Serena's mind raced. Deny it? Run? Attack? What do you want? She said instead. Chen smiled wider. Now we're getting somewhere. He ordered coffee. The waitress brought it. Chen added cream and sugar like they were discussing the weather instead of Serena's entire life. I want the same thing you do, he said finally. I want to destroy Roman Vale. Why? Because 3 years ago, Roman destroyed my brother. Hostile takeover of his shipping company. He didn't just buy him out. He dismantled everything my brother had built and sold it for parts. Chen's expression darkened. My brother killed himself 6 months later. Left a note saying Roman Vale took everything worth living for. Serena felt cold all over. I'm sorry. I don't want your sympathy. I want your cooperation. Chen leaned forward. I know what Roman did to you, the hurricane, the abandonment. I know about the forged evidence and Vanessa Crow's involvement. I know you gave birth alone and you've been living in hiding for almost a year. How? I have resources, just like you do. Chen's smile was sharp. I've been watching Roman self-destruct for months. The failed deals, the corporate leaks, the SEC investigation. I thought it was my work at first, but then I realized someone else was in the game. You've been sabotaging him too. I planted the mole. Peter Grayson worked for me. Chen shrugged. But you've been more effective. The tech merger collapse, the real estate disaster. Those were elegant, subtle, the kind of thing that looks like bad luck instead of sabotage. I didn't sabotage the shipping deal. You pulled out yourself. I know. I pulled out because I got a better offer from Titan Maritime, but also because I wanted to see what Roman would do when his golden opportunity collapsed. Chen took a sip of coffee. Turns out, he hired the best consultant in the business, who happens to be his supposedly dead wife. Serena didn't say anything. Here's my proposal, Chen continued. We work together, pool our resources. I have money, connections, and a network of people who hate Roman as much as we do. You have inside access and motivation. Together, we can bring down his entire empire. And if I say no, then I tell Roman who Victoria Blackwell really is, and we both know what happens then. Chen's expression was pleasant, but his eyes were cold. You disappear again, probably permanently this time, and your son grows up without a mother. Serena's hands clenched under the table. You're blackmailing me. I'm offering you a partnership. The blackmail is just insurance. Chen stood. Think about it. You have 24 hours. After that, I make a choice for you. He left cash on the table and walked out. Serena sat frozen, her coffee going cold, her entire world collapsing for the second time in a year. Serena, Marcus said through the earpiece, we need to move, now. She stood on shaking legs and left the coffee shop. Marcus was waiting in the SUV 2 blocks away. Serena climbed in and he drove without speaking until they were clear of Manhattan. He knows everything, Serena said finally. I heard. Marcus's jaw was tight. The question is what we do about it. He wants to partner with me, use my access to destroy Roman. And if you refuse? He tells Roman who I am. Marcus was quiet for a long time. You could run, take Noah and disappear. I can create new identities, get you somewhere Chen can't find you. And spend the rest of my life running, looking over my shoulder, never knowing if Noah's safe? Serena shook her head. No, I'm done running. Then what? Serena thought about Roman's face when he talked about second chances, about Vanessa wearing her necklace, about Noah sleeping peacefully, trusting that his mother would keep him safe. I'm going to give Chen what he wants, she said. We're going to destroy Roman together. And then? Then I'm going to destroy Chen too. Serena's voice was cold, certain. Because nobody threatens my son and walks away. Marcus glanced at her, something like approval in his expression. That's a dangerous game. Good thing I've gotten very good at playing. That night, Serena sent Chen a text. I'm in. But we do this my way. His response came 30 seconds later. Smart choice. Let's discuss terms. They met the next morning in a private office Chen maintained in Manhattan. No coffee shops this time, no public spaces where anyone could overhear. Just Serena, Chen, and the reality that she'd just partnered with someone as ruthless as Roman. "Here's what I need from you," Chen said, pulling up files on his computer. "Complete access to Roman's strategic planning. Every deal, every acquisition, every weakness. And what do I get? Protection, money, and a guarantee that when this is over, you and your son can disappear completely. New identities, new country if you want. Somewhere Roman can never find you." "How do I know you'll keep that promise?" "Because I'm not Roman Vale. I keep my word." Chen met her eyes. "I want him destroyed, not you. Help me finish what you started, and you'll be free." Serena thought about Noah, about the life she wanted to give him, about the possibility of actually being safe instead of just hiding. "All right," she said, "let's burn it all down." Chen smiled. "Welcome to the team, Serena." And just like that, Victoria Blackwell became a double agent working to destroy the man she used to love. The partnership with Chen lasted exactly 3 weeks before Serena realized he was just as dangerous as Roman. Maybe more. Roman destroyed people out of arrogance and greed. Chen did it for sport. "I need you to plant this in Roman's office," Chen said during one of their morning meetings, sliding a USB drive across the table. "It'll give me access to his entire network, email, files, everything." Serena picked up the drive. "What are you planning to do with it?" "Whatever it takes to finish him." "That's not an answer." Chen's smile was cold. "You want specifics? Fine. I'm going to steal every piece of proprietary information Roman has. Then I'm going to sell it to his competitors. By the time I'm done, Vale Industries won't just collapse. It'll be gutted and sold for scrap." "And the employees? The people who work for him? They lose everything too?" "Collateral damage," Chen shrugged. "You wanted revenge, Serena. This is what it looks like." Serena stared at the USB drive and thought about the analysts and assistants and low-level employees who had nothing to do with what Roman had done to her. People with families, mortgages, student loans, lives that would be destroyed because she wanted to hurt one man. "I need time to think about this," she said. "You have 24 hours. After that, I'm moving forward with or without you." Serena left the meeting and drove back to the cabin in silence. Marcus was waiting on the porch with Noah. Her son had learned to walk in the past 2 weeks, and he toddled toward her on unsteady legs, his face lighting up when he saw her. "Mama!" The word hit her like a punch to the chest. It was the first time he'd said it clearly. Serena dropped to her knees and caught him as he stumbled into her arms. "Hi, baby. Hi, my sweet boy." Noah laughed and grabbed her face with both hands, his grip surprisingly strong for someone so small. "He's been saying it all morning," Marcus said. "Waiting for you to come home." Home. Serena looked around at the cabin, the sagging porch, the weathered wood, the lake in the distance. This place that didn't exist on any map. This place that had kept them safe for almost a year. This was home now. Not the mansion, not the life she'd lost. This. "I can't do it," she said quietly. Marcus sat down on the porch steps. "Can't do what?" "Chen wants me to destroy Roman completely. Not just his reputation or his business deals. Everything. And I thought that's what I wanted, but..." Serena looked down at Noah. "But if I do this, I'm no better than Roman. I'm just another person who destroys lives because I can." "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to finish this my way." Serena stood, still holding Noah. "Roman needs to face consequences. Real ones. But not like this." She spent the rest of the day planning. By nightfall, she had a strategy that would expose Roman and Vanessa without destroying hundreds of innocent people in the process. It was cleaner, surgical, the kind of revenge that left scars instead of corpses. She called Chen. "I'm out," she said. "Find someone else to plant your spyware." Chen was quiet for a long moment. "That's disappointing." "I don't care." "You should, because now I have a problem. You know too much about my operations, about my plans, about me." His voice went cold. "I can't let you walk away with that information. Try to stop me and I'll expose everything you've done. The corporate espionage, the illegal surveillance, all of it. You'd implicate yourself. I don't care anymore. I'm done playing games." Serena's voice was steady.
Leave me alone, Chen. Forget I exist, and I'll forget about you. That's not how this works. Then we're going to have a problem. She hung up.
Marcus looked at her with something like concern. He's not going to let this go. I know. Serena checked the security cameras Marcus had installed around the cabin, which is why we need to move fast. What's the plan? I'm going to give Roman everything, the truth about the forged evidence, proof of Vanessa's betrayal, documentation of Chen's sabotage. All of it. That'll destroy your cover. Victoria Blackwell was always temporary. I just needed her long enough to get close.
Serena pulled up the files she'd been collecting for months. It's time for Serena Vale to come back from the dead.
The next morning, Serena walked into Vale Industries for the last time as Victoria Blackwell. She was carrying a leather portfolio that contained everything: the evidence against Vanessa, the documentation of Chen's involvement, and one additional file that would change everything: proof that Noah existed, birth certificate, medical records, photos, everything Roman would need to understand that the son he'd lost was alive. Serena wasn't sure if she was making the right choice, but she was tired of hiding, tired of pretending, tired of being someone she wasn't. She was going to tell Roman the truth, and then she was going to watch him live with what he'd done. Roman's assistant looked surprised when Serena arrived without an appointment. Miss Blackwell, Mr. Vale isn't expecting you. Tell him it's urgent.
Serena's voice left no room for argument. And tell him to make sure Vanessa is in the room.
5 minutes later, Serena was shown into Roman's office. Roman sat behind his desk. Vanessa stood by the window. They both looked tense, like they'd been in the middle of an argument. Victoria, Roman said. What's this about? Serena set the portfolio on his desk. I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it. If this is about the Chen situation, it's not about Chen. It's about Serena. The room went silent. Roman's expression shifted. What about her? She's alive. The words hung in the air like smoke. Vanessa's face went white. That's impossible. She disappeared over a year ago. She's dead. She's not dead. She's been hiding, building a new life, waiting for the right moment to come back. Serena pulled out the first document, a photo of herself from a year ago, clearly pregnant, clearly the same person as Serena Vale. She survived the hurricane, barely, and she gave birth alone while you were inside with your mistress. Roman stood slowly. How do you know this? Because I'm her. Serena pulled off the contact lenses, removed the wig, wiped off the makeup that changed her face shape. Underneath was Serena Vale. Roman staggered backward like he'd been shot. No, you can't be. Surprise. Serena's voice was cold. Your dead wife isn't dead. She's been right here, working for you, watching you, waiting. Vanessa moved toward the door, but Serena blocked her path. You're not going anywhere. You're going to stay and face what you did. Roman, don't listen to her. Shut up. Roman's voice was barely a whisper. He was staring at Serena like he was seeing a ghost. Serena, is it really you? It's really me. But your face, your hair, it's called a disguise. Turns out it's pretty easy to look different when you want to disappear. Serena pulled out the next document. Here's proof that Vanessa forged the evidence against me. Bank accounts she created in my name. Emails she fabricated. All of it documented and backed up. She slid the file across the desk. Roman opened it with shaking hands. His face went from shock to horror to rage as he read through the evidence. You did this? He looked at Vanessa. You framed her? I was protecting you, Vanessa's voice climbed. She was going to destroy you, Roman. I saw the way she looked at your business. Like she wanted to tear it apart. I was trying to save you from making a mistake. By destroying my pregnant wife? Roman's voice was deadly quiet. By forging evidence and helping me throw her into a hurricane? I didn't know about the hurricane. You're the one who... Because of your lies! Roman slammed his hand on the desk. I threw her out because of evidence you fabricated. I did it for us. Vanessa's composure cracked. I did it so we could be together, so you could finally be free of her and see what was right in front of you. You did it because you're a psychopath. Serena's voice cut through the room. You manufactured an entire conspiracy to remove me from Roman's life. Then you moved into my house, wore my jewelry, played wife to my husband, and smiled while everyone thought I was dead.
Vanessa turned on her. You think you're so innocent? You've been sabotaging Roman for months. The failed deals, the corporate leaks, that was you. Some of it was me, Serena agreed, but not all of it. Richard Chen has been working his own angle. He's the one who planted the corporate spy. He's the one who leaked the Portland documents. She pulled out another file. Here's proof. Communications between Chen and Peter Grayson. Financial records showing payments. Everything you need to prosecute them both. Roman was reading through the documents, his face getting paler with each page. Why are you giving me this? He asked finally. You could have destroyed me. You were working with Chen. Why stop now? Because destroying you wasn't enough. Serena met his eyes. I wanted you to know the truth. I wanted you to understand exactly what you did when you threw me into that storm. I thought the evidence was real. I believed you believed what you wanted to believe. You trusted Vanessa over your own wife. You chose your empire over the woman carrying your child. Serena's voice didn't shake. And when I begged you not to leave me outside, when I told you the baby would die, you closed the door anyway. Roman's face crumbled. Serena, I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. She pulled out the final document, Noah's birth certificate. Roman stared at it like it was written in a language he didn't understand. You have a son, Serena said quietly. His name is Noah. He's 13 months old. He has your eyes and my stubbornness. And he exists because I survived the night you tried to kill me. Roman's hands were shaking. Where is he? Somewhere you'll never find him. Serena, please, you don't get to please me anymore. You don't get to ask for forgiveness or second chances. You get to live with what you did. Serena picked up her portfolio. I've given you everything you need to prosecute Vanessa and Chen. What you do with it is your choice. But I'm done. She walked toward the door. Wait. Roman's voice broke. Don't leave, please. Let me fix this. Let me make it right. Serena turned. There is no making this right, Roman. You can't undo what you did. You can't bring back the woman I was before that night. She died in the mud outside your mansion while you warmed your bed with the woman who destroyed her. I loved you. No, you didn't. You loved the idea of me, the wife who looked good at charity events and didn't ask questions about your business. But the real me, the woman with thoughts and needs and a spine, you never loved her at all. That's not true. Then why was it so easy for you to believe I'd betray you? Why didn't you question the evidence? Why didn't you give me a chance to defend myself? Serena's voice was cold. Because deep down, you never trusted me. You never saw me as an equal. I was just another possession. And when you thought that possession had betrayed you, you threw it away. Roman had no answer. Serena looked at Vanessa. You wanted him so badly, you destroyed a marriage and nearly killed a pregnant woman to get him. I hope he was worth it. Vanessa's face was streaked with tears. I love him. You love what he represents, power, money, status. That's not love. That's ambition wearing a prettier mask. Serena opened the door. Good luck with that. She walked out. Behind her, she heard Roman calling her name, heard Vanessa screaming accusations, heard the sound of his office imploding. Serena didn't look back. She took the elevator down 43 floors, walked through the lobby where nobody recognized her, and stepped out into Manhattan sunlight. Marcus was waiting in the SUV. How'd it go? He asked. It's done. Serena climbed in. Take me home. They drove in silence for 20 minutes. Then Serena's phone started buzzing. Text after text from Roman. Please, talk to me. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Just tell me where you are. Let me meet Noah. Please, Serena. She blocked his number. Then she called her attorney, a lawyer Marcus had connected her with months ago, someone who specialized in cases exactly like hers. I need to file for divorce, Serena said, and I need full custody of my son. No visitation, no contact, nothing. We'll need to document the abuse and abandonment. I have documentation, all of it, including proof that he threw me out during a Category 4 hurricane while I was 8 months pregnant. The attorney was quiet for a moment. That's going to be a strong case. Make it airtight. I don't want him anywhere near my son. Understood.
Serena hung up and leaned her head against the window. It was really over. No more hiding, no more pretending, no more Victoria Blackwell. Just Serena Vale, survivor, ready to build something real. The divorce proceedings took 4 months. Roman fought every step of the way. His lawyers argued that Serena had abandoned the marriage by hiding for over a year, that she'd sabotaged his business, that she'd engaged in corporate espionage. Serena's lawyer presented the evidence systematically, the forged documents that proved Vanessa had framed her, the timeline showing Roman had thrown her out during the hurricane, the medical records from Dr. Harmon documenting Serena's condition when she arrived at the clinic, and the final damning piece, security footage from the mansion. Marcus had obtained it months ago through channels Serena didn't ask about. It showed everything. Roman dragging Serena to the glass doors, her begging, him pushing her outside, the door closing while she pounded on the glass. The judge watched it twice. When the footage ended, he looked at Roman with an expression of pure disgust. "Mr. Vale," the judge said, "in 30 years on the bench, I have never seen such a clear-cut case of domestic abuse and abandonment. Your actions were not just cruel, they were criminal." Roman's lawyer tried to object, but the judge held up a hand. "I'm not finished. You threw your pregnant wife into a Category 4 hurricane based on evidence you didn't verify. You locked her out of her own home while she begged for her life and the life of your unborn child. Then, when she disappeared, you moved your mistress into her home and publicly performed grief while privately moving on with your life." The courtroom was silent. "This court finds in favor of the plaintiff. Full divorce granted. Full custody of the minor child to Serena Vale. No visitation rights for Roman Vale. Furthermore, I'm awarding Mrs. Vale 50% of all marital assets, including the mansion and full ownership of the Vale family trust." Roman stood up. "Your Honor, please." "Sit down, Mr. Vale. I'm not done." The judge's voice was ice. "I'm also issuing a permanent restraining order. You are not to contact Mrs. Vale or attempt to locate her or the child in any capacity. If you violate this order, you will face criminal charges. Do you understand?" Roman looked like he'd been gutted. "Yes, Your Honor." "Good. This court is adjourned." The gavel came down. Serena walked out of the courtroom with Marcus beside her and Noah in her arms. She didn't look back. Outside, reporters were waiting. The story had gone national weeks ago. The billionaire who'd tried to kill his pregnant wife, the mistress who'd framed her, the wife who came back from the dead to expose it all. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted. "Mrs. Vale, how does it feel to win? Are you going to press criminal charges? What are you going to do now?" Serena stopped at the top of the courthouse steps and looked directly into the cameras. "I'm going to live," she said simply. "That's the only revenge that matters." She walked down the steps and climbed into the waiting car. The fallout was spectacular. Within a week, Vanessa Crowe was arrested for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. The evidence Serena had provided was airtight. Vanessa's trial lasted 3 weeks and ended with a guilty verdict on all counts. She was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Roman watched from the gallery as the woman he'd chosen over his wife was led away in handcuffs. Chen's empire collapsed next. The information Serena had given Roman about Chen's corporate espionage triggered a federal investigation that uncovered years of illegal activity. Chen was arrested, his assets frozen, his company dissolved. Vale Industries survived, but just barely. Roman managed to retain control, but the company's reputation was destroyed. Investors pulled out. Partners terminated contracts. Within 6 months, the empire Roman had built was worth half what it had been. Serena watched it all from the cabin by the lake. She'd sold the mansion, refused to ever set foot in it again, and used the money to buy a real home. Something smaller, warmer, with a yard where Noah could play and windows that opened instead of staying locked. She established a foundation with the rest of the divorce settlement, the Serena Vale Foundation for Domestic Violence Survivors. It provided housing, legal support, and resources for women escaping abusive relationships. Dr. Harmon ran it. Marcus handled security, and Serena finally rested. 1 year after the divorce was finalized, Serena stood in the kitchen of her new home, watching Noah play in the backyard. He was 2 now. Running, talking, laughing. A happy, healthy child who knew nothing about hurricanes or locked doors or fathers who chose power over love. He just knew his mother loved him. That was enough. The doorbell rang. Serena wasn't expecting anyone, but she'd learned to stop being paranoid about every unexpected visitor. Marcus had installed security that would make Fort Knox jealous. Nobody was getting to them. She opened the door. Roman stood on her porch. Serena's first instinct was to slam the door and call the police. He was violating the restraining order just by being here, but something in his expression stopped her. He looked broken, older, like the past year had aged him a decade. "You have 30 seconds before I call the cops," Serena said. "I know I shouldn't be here." Roman's voice was rough. "I know I don't have the right to ask for anything, but I had to see you, just once." "Why?" "To tell you I'm sorry. I know it doesn't change anything. I know it doesn't fix what I did, but I needed you to hear it." His eyes were red. "I was wrong, Serena. About everything. The evidence, Vanessa, the choices I made, all of it. I know you were wrong. The whole world knows you were wrong. I lost everything because of it. The company's failing. My reputation's destroyed. Everyone I trusted has either betrayed me or left." Roman's voice cracked. "I deserve all of it. I know that. But the worst part, the thing that keeps me up at night, is knowing I had something real, and I destroyed it because I was too arrogant to see what was right in front of me." Serena felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pain, just emptiness where Roman used to live in her heart. "You're right," she said. "You did destroy something real, and you're going to spend the rest of your life knowing that. But Roman, I'm not going to spend the rest of mine caring. Can I—" He stopped, started again. "Can I at least meet him? Just once? I don't want custody or visitation. I just want to know my son." "No." "Serena, please. You gave up the right to know him when you tried to kill us both. You don't get to be his father. You don't get to be part of his life. You get to be the cautionary tale I tell him when he's old enough to understand." Serena's voice was steady. "Now get off my property before I call the police." "I loved you." Roman's voice broke. "I still do." "No, you don't. You love the idea of what you lost, but you never loved me enough to protect me. You never loved me enough to trust me. You never loved me at all." Serena stepped back. "Goodbye, Roman." She closed the door. Through the window, she watched him stand on the porch for a long moment, his shoulders shaking. Then he turned and walked away. Serena watched until his car disappeared down the road. Then she went to the backyard where Noah was playing in the sandbox. "Mama!" He held up a toy truck. "Look, I see it, baby. That's a great truck." Noah went back to playing, completely absorbed in his imaginary world. Serena sat down on the porch steps and watched her son create stories in the sand. Stories where the trucks were heroes, and the bad guys always lost, and everyone lived happily ever after. She hoped his life would be that simple. She hoped he'd never know what it felt like to be thrown away by someone who was supposed to protect him. And she hoped that when he was old enough to understand what had happened, he'd see that his mother had fought like hell to give him something better. That night, after Noah was asleep, Serena sat on the porch with a glass of wine and looked out at the lake. Marcus joined her. "Heard you had a visitor. Security cameras tell you everything, huh?" "Pretty much. You okay?" "I'm fine. Actually, I think I'm better than fine." Serena took a sip of wine. "I thought seeing him would hurt, or make me angry, but it didn't. I just felt nothing." "That's called healing." "Maybe." Serena looked up at the stars. "Or maybe it's just acceptance. He's gone from my life. I'm gone from his. We're both living with the consequences of the choices we made." "You got the better end of that deal." "Yeah, I did." Serena thought about Noah sleeping inside, about the foundation helping other women escape situations like hers, about the life she'd built from absolutely nothing. "I got everything that actually matters." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Marcus asked the question Serena had been waiting for. "What are you going to do now?" "Now? I'm going to watch my son grow up. I'm going to run my foundation. I'm going to live the life Roman tried to take from me." Serena smiled. "I'm going to be happy. That's the best revenge there is." "What about Victoria Blackwell?" "She served her purpose. She got me close enough to expose the truth. But I don't need her anymore." Serena finished her wine. "I'm just Serena now, and that's enough." Marcus nodded. "For what it's worth,
I think you're pretty extraordinary. I'm a survivor, that's all? No, you're someone who was destroyed and chose to rebuild. That's different. That's stronger. He stood. I'm proud of you, Serena. Thanks, Marcus. For everything. He left her alone on the porch. Serena sat under the stars and thought about the woman who'd pounded on glass during a hurricane, begging for mercy that never came. That woman was gone. In her place was someone harder, smarter, and absolutely unwilling to ever be that vulnerable again. Roman had tried to erase her. Instead, he'd created someone unstoppable. 5 years later, Serena stood at a podium in front of 200 women at the annual Serena Vale Foundation Gala. Noah sat in the front row with Dr. Harmon, 7 years old now, his tie slightly crooked, his smile bright. When I started this foundation, Serena said, I didn't know if it would help anyone. I just knew I needed to turn my survival into something that mattered, something that gave other women the chance I almost didn't get. She looked out at the crowd. Donors, survivors, supporters, people who believed in second chances. Over the past 5 years, we've helped over 3,000 women escape abusive situations. We've provided housing, legal support, job training, and most importantly, hope. Because that's what I needed most when I was drowning, the hope that things could be different, that I could be different. Applause filled the room. Tonight, I'm announcing an expansion. The Serena Vale Foundation is opening 5 new shelters across the country. We're doubling our legal aid program, and we're launching an education initiative to teach young people about healthy relationships so they never end up in situations like mine. More applause. Serena's eyes found Noah. He was watching her with pride, even though he was too young to fully understand what his mother had survived to get here. Someday she'd tell him everything, about the hurricane and the betrayal and the year they spent hiding, about how she'd torn herself apart and rebuilt something stronger. But not yet. For now, he just needed to know his mother was a fighter. I used to think revenge meant destroying the person who hurt me, Serena continued. But I learned something better. Revenge is living well. It's refusing to let the person who tried to break you define who you become. It's choosing joy and purpose and love even when everything says you should choose hate. She paused. Roman Vale tried to kill me. He failed. I'm still here, I'm still fighting, and I'm going to keep fighting for every woman who thinks she can't survive. Because we can. We do. And we're stronger than anyone who tried to destroy us could ever understand. The room erupted in applause. Serena stepped down from the podium, and Noah ran to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Good speech, Mama. Thanks, baby. Did Daddy really try to hurt you? Serena's breath caught. They'd never talked about Roman directly. She told Noah his father wasn't in their lives anymore, that it was complicated, that he'd understand when he was older. Yes, she said carefully. He did. But I survived, and now we have this amazing life because I didn't give up. Noah thought about that. Is he sorry? I think so, but being sorry doesn't fix what he broke. Do you miss him? Serena looked down at her son. This beautiful, perfect child who existed because she'd refused to die in the mud. No, she said honestly. I don't miss him at all. Noah nodded like that made sense. Then he grabbed her hand. Can we get ice cream on the way home? Serena laughed. Yeah, buddy, we can get ice cream. They left the gala together, mother and son, walking into a future that belonged entirely to them. Behind them, in a small apartment across the city, Roman Vale watched coverage of the gala on the news. He saw Serena on stage, confident and powerful and completely beyond his reach. He saw Noah in the front row, a child who'd never know his father. He saw everything he'd lost because he'd chosen power over love. The news anchor was saying something about Serena's foundation, about the lives she'd changed, about her transformation from victim to advocate. Roman turned off the TV. He'd spent 5 years trying to rebuild what he'd destroyed. The company was stable now, profitable again. He'd even started dating, though nothing stuck. But none of it mattered, because every night he came home to an empty apartment and remembered the sound of Serena's voice begging him not to leave her outside. And every morning, he woke up knowing he'd made a choice he could never undo. Vanessa was still in prison. Chen had disappeared after his release,
probably using the same networks Marcus had used to hide Serena. Roman was free, successful even, but he was alone, and he would be alone for the rest of his life, because the woman he'd destroyed had survived, and the man he'd been had not. Meanwhile, across the city, Serena tucked Noah into bed and read him a story about dragons and knights and heroes who saved themselves. When he fell asleep, she kissed his forehead and whispered the same thing she'd whispered every night for 7 years. "You're safe, baby. Nobody will ever hurt you, Mama promises." She meant it. Roman Vale had taken everything from her once, but Serena had built something better from the ashes. She had Noah. She had purpose. She had a life built on her own terms. And most importantly, she had herself. The woman who'd survived the hurricane was gone. In her place stood someone who'd learned that the strongest revenge wasn't destruction. It was living so well that the person who tried to break you became irrelevant. Roman had tried to erase Serena Vale. Instead, he'd created a legacy that would outlive them both. And that was the ending Serena had fought for. Not perfect, not painless, but real. And entirely, beautifully hers.